Quazi here. A couple weeks ago, I made a video on affirmations and why you should do your affirmations in the third person to get the best results. Now, since then, I was having a conversation with one of my one-on-one private clients where I actually had an epiphany. There was one main thing that I just realized that I had actually been doing unknowingly over the last 8 years that allowed me to manifest a multi-million-dollar business and basically the life of my dreams, especially when it comes to doing affirmations and visualizations. So what I was doing was I was using affirmations and visualizations simultaneously. So in today's video, I want to share with you the exact system that I was using when I combined my affirmations and visualizations and the actual affirmations that I used when I was first starting out. So with that, let's get started. To give you more motivation to actually apply this in your life, I want to share with you one of our customers, Leo, recently, who went from working a $12 an hour job to making six-figure months. So he had wrapped up his final month, and in his e-commerce business, he started making $100,000 a month for 3 months straight. Okay, this is a kid that went from doing $12 an hour to doing $100,000 a month. And out of that, he gets to keep 25%. So he's doing 25%, 25K a month in net profit. And he attributes his success to shifting into the version of Leo that is capable and worthy of making six-figure months. And by the way, he started working with us back in 2021, 2022. So it's not like he got results overnight. But what happened was, because he persisted with the attitude, he stayed with it, he stayed with the ideal self. When you stay in the state of the wish fulfilled, it's just a matter of time. For some people, it may be within weeks. For others, it may be in months. For some others, it may even take years, right? Everyone has their own unique karmic proclivity, so it just takes a little bit of time for others. But if you stay consistent and true to it, reality has no choice but to reflect. If you present the right image to the mirror of reality, it has no choice but to reflect. And this is how. This is what he followed to helping him do this, okay? So there's 3 main parts to this. We talked about the affirmation, which is super, super important, but it's very, very limited, okay? So the first part of this is obviously having the affirmation. What does the affirmation do? Let's talk about that. What the affirmation does effectively is it launches a new design. It's responsible for launching a new design. What do I mean by that? Whenever you say an affirmation, I'm confident, I'm wealthy, I'm making 20K a month, whatever it is, right? You're launching a design that is not within the current confines of your reality. So the current confines of your reality, you are comfortable with making whatever income you're making now. And the amount of hours that you're working and the job that you're working or the business that you're doing, whatever it is you're doing right now, that is your current parameter of reality. Your thought energy resonates at that sector of reality. When you do an affirmation, you open that up. You make a shift in the lifeline, okay? You open it up and your thought energy starts corresponding to a different sector of reality, okay? So your heart is connected. But the issue is the mind doesn't want to accept it. So for example, you can tell yourself you're happy, you're confident, you're wealthy, all you want. But without proof, the mind doesn't want to accept it, right? How many times have you tried to tell yourself that you're confident and you've started to go into social situations and you just didn't feel confident? There was another part of you that just sabotaged you. There was another part of you that kept telling you, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to yourself, right? And so because of that, there was this internal conflict that was happening, which felt very, very uncomfortable. How many times has that happened to you? Or maybe even in other areas of your life where you've tried to convince yourself of something you didn't quite believe, okay? So the affirmation is important, but it is not the full piece of the puzzle. And that's what most people get wrong. They just keep doing affirmations for years, but they don't see any kind of change happening, okay? So this brings me to the next part, which is grounding your affirmations in confirmations. So with an affirmation, we open a feedback loop. With the confirmation, we're grounding it into reality. So with affirmation, it feels good for us. We are aligning the heart, okay? With the confirmation, we're bringing the mind on board. What does that mean? So going back to the instance of you telling yourself you're confident and you telling yourself you're wealthy. Well, when you begin to look for confirmations, a proof a reference experience of something in the past that corresponds to that thought energy, that frequency. So now I'm looking back into the past of something that has happened that proves that this could potentially be true. So if you want to claim that you are a confident person, what is a past reference experience of you being confident? Have you ever noticed how when you try to do something and you've had proof of being successful in the past, it makes it much easier to do it, as opposed to if you just never done it before, it's completely new. You feel a lot more nervous, right? You feel a lot more shaky. But if you had done it even just once in the past, and you can recollect that memory of what it felt like to succeed in this in the past, what happens? You show up with a lot more certainty. Your actions are a lot less shaky. It's a lot less hesitant, right? So just like that, if you wanted to be a more confident person, what's an instance in the past of you exuding confidence? Maybe you delivered a presentation in high school or college, right? And you spoke in front of a bunch of people. Maybe you want to become wealthy and right now you're going through hard financial times and you can't see your business succeeding. You can't see yourself bringing in more money. You can't see the job that you're doing working out, right? Maybe all of this is happening to you. But there was a time in the past where money was flowing into your life. Was there not? I'm sure there was a time in your life where money was flowing into your life. How about you say your affirmation and then you go back to that? You say your affirmation and you go back to that proof and you ground yourself in your mind saying, oh, this is actually true. This affirmation is true. It has happened before, right? So for example, for me, when I wanted to make my first 20K month, I would look at all of the instances that had led me to bringing in clients. Oh, look, I got a client for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. Well, if I can just do 4 of those, then I can get to $20,000 a month. Oh, I got a client for $10,000. If I just do 2 of those, I can get to $20,000 a month, right? So for me, I just look at that, like that one instance that happened, even the one client that I got that paid me. It's like one client is willing to pay. If I can get one sale, if I can make my first dollar online, then I can make a ton more, right? That was the logic. Now, why this is so effective is I was doing a workshop last night and there was like around 50, 70 people that showed up to the workshop and I was using this mailroom analogy, okay? The mailroom, I want you to remember this analogy. Essentially, what happened to me was I used to live in a building with hundreds of people, and for every single person, all of their packages got delivered to the same room. It was a small, tiny room that's no bigger than a broom closet. So there'll be hundreds of packages in there every single day, and I was anticipating a package to come in, and so I would literally for 2 weeks straight, go into the room and try to find my package. The 3rd week, I went in there, didn't find the package. As soon as I was walking out, guess what happened? I got a notification on my phone from Amazon saying that the package had definitely been delivered. I went back into the room. My search now took a different level of conviction. So what I did was I rummaged through everything and lo and behold, it was right there in the corner buried under everything else. I just got the notification too late, right? So because I knew that my goals were there, it's possible, it is doable, it exists, I just have to find it. Because my conviction rose to that level, I was able to dig through and find my package. It was probably delivered 3 weeks ago, right? So in your life right now, the affirmation that you're saying, if you believe that it was true, and then you set your mind to achieving it, right? What do you think would happen? Your search would take on that level of conviction. But the reason why you feel afraid, you feel doubt, and this other part of you keeps sabotaging you is because somewhere you don't feel that it is possible. Somewhere there is doubt within your mind which is preventing you from just going full gas. Instead of putting the gas on, you have the gas on and the brakes on, okay? So in order to overcome that, you need to close this feedback loop and bring the mind on board by looking at a confirmation. So in the instance of you becoming confident, in the instance of you wanting to make a certain amount of income per month, if you can just look at instances in the past where you've made something close to that, you can use that to feel that, oh, this is true. I have made income in the past. Therefore, it is highly likely that I will do it again. And so one of the affirmations I would use, this was back in 2020. I'm actually gonna list my affirmations down here. Check this. Quazi easily makes $200,000 monthly. He is in complete alignment with money and it flows to him like a moth to a flame. Customers seek him out and are begging to join his program. This is what I would say to myself at night before falling asleep and in the morning. Now, when I would say this, I would feel what it felt like to make $200,000 a month. And then I would look into the past of instances where I've gotten close to that. So I believe I was doing this in 2020 and I'd made my first $100,000 month in Jan 2020. $100,000 in a month, roughly around $109,000. Still remember that day. This is one of the greatest and worst days of my life because when I finally reached that goal, I was like, wow, I just made $110,000 this month. That's more than my dad makes in a year. This is crazy. That's it. This is what it's supposed to feel like. So after that, my immediate thought, which was bizarre, was, okay, I got to keep making it, right? So it didn't feel as fulfilling as the journey that it took to get there. So for me, I set a new goal to get to $200,000 a month because the journey is what would excite me. So then what does that look like? What does that feel like? Okay, now when I read that affirmation, I immediately look for a confirmation. I made $100,000 last month. I made that 100K last month, therefore I can just double that. All I need to do is just double that. That's it, right? So that's how I would look for confirmations of it. And I believe it was by 2023 was when I had my first $200,000 month. So it took me around 3 years to get to it. 3 years of patience to get to it. But I was making between $100,000 to $170,000 at the peak. So $100,000 to $170,000, fluctuating from that, moving up and down from $100,000 to $170,000 until I finally hit my first $200,000 a month in 2023. So now that the affirmation launches the new design. It changes, it shifts your antenna from your current comfort zone, your current state of reality, to the reality you'd like to experience. The confirmation grounds you in that reality instead of fluctuating. So the way I like to describe this is like Bitcoin, right? When institutional investors start to buy Bitcoin, it sets a floor on the price, right? It won't fluctuate as much because now there is actual proof. A lot of people are holding large amounts that it's not gonna exchange hands as quickly, okay? So with confirmations, it's like setting that floor. You set the floor of, hey, this is actually true. I've made this much money before. Let's move on up from here, okay? Now, there's a final step to this that I'm gonna share with you that's gonna change everything for you. And this is what's known as projection. This is future projection of that affirmation. So we go from what I want in the future, or we say it in the present tense. We look at it in the present tense as though the wish has already been fulfilled. Present tense. Then we go back to the past. Present, past, we look at a past confirmation. And then we future project of what this could look like if I were to achieve this in the future. Okay? So this is future projection. Now, what does projection mean? This is where the visualization piece comes in, and this is very, very crucial, so I want you to pay close attention to this. This is where you visualize. So going back to my affirmation of Quazi easily makes $200,000 monthly, he is in complete alignment with money, and it flows to him like a moth to a flame. Customers seek him out and are begging to join his program. So this is what I do. When I say this, after I've finished saying this, I feel what it feels like to make $200,000 a month. The feeling of abundance, of having more than enough money. Then I look for a confirmation. I visualize when in the past this has happened. Okay? I go back to the past of when I've, maybe looking at my Stripe account or my payments channel and like seeing it blow up with sales, right? Like, oh, this is true. I get into the energetic state of that happening in the past. And now what I do is I project that. I visualize. I immediately go from the past to the future. I go from imagining, looking at a reference experience of what I've actually experienced in reality of it happening in the past, and now I future project it to a scene in the future where I will be making $200,000 a month. So then I imagine what the Stripe account would look like when the number says 200,000, right? Month of Jan 2023 or whatever it is, 200,000, right? That's what I do. That's the thing that will make it the most effective for you. So you have to project it into the future. Otherwise, what's going to happen is the feedback loop, like you complete the feedback loop, you get a full unit, then you project it to where you actually want to move towards. And then every single day that you live and you keep getting more and more confirmations that you are moving in the right path, that again forms another step for you to ground this projection. To say to yourself, this is indeed true and I'm moving towards it every single day. That's it. Most of the time, people waste a lot of time in hesitating, in doubting, and in fearing. They want to make a transformation, but they act within the confines of their current self. You have to take a step ahead from your current self. You have to take these big, bold risks that you're not willing to take if you were in your current self. And so a lot of people are afraid to invest in themselves, right? And I was too, because I was like, oh, money is scarce. I'm afraid of losing money and like all of these bad things, and I've lost so much money already. But I've found that when I've kept myself stingy and I prevented myself from investing it, that actually slowed down the flow of money, and it kept me stuck here and it kept me miserable. Like, you'll feel this, by the way, when you are presented with a decision to level up. You'll notice that there are two selves within you. One self is saying, do it, just take the leap, fuck it. The other self is saying, don't do it. It's too risky. You're going to lose even more money. Prevent loss. And guess what? Human psychology is wired to avoid losing more than it likes winning. I was watching Shameless. I don't know if you guys have watched this. Like, I just like that show. And the guy was talking to Jimmy, like Jimmy's bodyguard. And the guy was saying, I came from the favelas in Brazil and I made it up here. You were born with a golden spoon in your mouth and you went down. It hurts you more, right? If I went back down from where I came from, it wouldn't hurt me as much. So it's like it always hurts when you lose something more than if you made it from zero and then you lose it, right? Because you've known nothing different. Like, you've only known wealth your whole life and then you lost it all, then it makes you feel like shit. So that's why human psychology is geared to loss aversion more than gain. We would rather not lose $100 than make $1,000, right? So that's why the doubts and fears, it's our survival biological conditioning. If you want to move out of that, you have to take a step ahead of yourself. That's what I tell my clients. Like, you have to take this step ahead of yourself and ask yourself, in this crucial moment, what would your higher self do? If you were your higher self, what would you do? Act from that place. Stop living in scarcity. And I've noticed that even when, money wasn't flowing, at least not as much as I wanted it to, but I still made those big, bold decisions, even though maybe those big, bold decisions didn't directly contribute to an ROI, but something else showed up, Like reality isn't that linear. It's not like you're gonna make this investment and this is the thing that'll get you to the millions you want to get to. You may meet someone in the program or community or mastermind that you joined who then suggests you to something else, and that's the thing that makes it for you. You may try a new business opportunity, but then you meet someone as a result of trying this new business opportunity that allows you to take it to the level you want to get to because you find something different, right? But you would have never known if you kept yourself closed off in your current comfort zone. And unfortunately, this is why most people stay stuck in decades worth of the same cycle going on, because they keep making decisions from a place of lack and a place of fear. Life won't change for you if you keep acting from a place of lack and fear. You always have to act a step ahead of your current self if you want to move forward. And so that's why I always say, like, success is never found in your comfort zone. It has to be uncomfortable. If it's uncomfortable, and the more uncomfortable it is, the more you're going to grow. Provided, obviously, it doesn't kill you, right? So there's always a balance to it, but you always can err on the side of taking more risk rather than not taking any risk at all, okay? If it's comfortable, it's most likely the wrong decision. So, affirmation, confirmation, projection. So how I would do it, an action item for you is, now craft your affirmations in the present continuous tense with descriptive language. Quazi makes $200,000 every single month with ease. Money flows into Quazi's life like a moth to a flame. Then, as you read that affirmation, confirm to yourself when in the past money has come into your life in hordes. And then, after you've pictured that confirmation, visualize it to a future scene where you are making the kind of money that you want. Okay? All right, guys, so I hope you found this helpful. Leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of this. I always love to read your comments And if you'd like to work closer together with me in my one-on-one mentorship, all you need to do is click on the link in the description below or go to realitycreator.com/apply. Who I typically work with are people who are entrepreneurs, at work for themselves, or people who are professionals. They're very, very unsatisfied with their jobs. They want to transition out. They want to grow their income. They want to work less, and they want to find more freedom in their lives. Okay, so if you're someone who's at work for yourself, maybe you're a trader. We work with a lot of traders. Maybe you are an investor. Maybe you are in real estate. You're just an entrepreneur, right? You want to grow your income. You've hit this ceiling. But you find that no matter what tactics and strategies you try, you've been stuck with the same pattern for a very, very long time. So if you'd like to work closer together, just click on the link in the description below, go to realitycreator.com/apply. You can also access my exclusive email list where I can share bonuses like the Identity Shifting Bootcamp with you. All you need to do is also click on the link in the description. It's going to be the second link in the description, or go to realitycreator.com/list. And the other thing I would recommend is, if you found this helpful, watch this video on visualization. It's a complete visualization protocol. I'll put the link right here, and I'll see you in the next video right now. Thanks.